Well, we've been so focused all weekend on the amazing Birds of Prey race, but I'm maybe a little more personally excited to flex my brain muscles here with Claire Noble from Vail Symposium, always bringing interesting topics, very world-worthy topics into our valley. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning, Eric. Thanks for having me. Our winter season kicks off this week. Now, we have programming throughout the year, but we do take a few weeks off in November and again in May. So we're getting ready to get started again. Over 20 programs this winter. This week we kick off with a history program. I don't know about you, but I love history. When people tell me they don't love history, I think maybe they didn't have a great history teacher somewhere along the way.
Yeah, you picture the boring professor at the chalkboard that's just monotoned voice, but it is one of the most intriguing sort of topics out there, and the particular one you're bringing is map-focused history, but how history influenced maps.
Absolutely. Susan Schulten is at the University of Denver. This is really kind of her niche in the history world. So this program won't be a comprehensive history of the United States, but it will be a history of how maps influence the development of our country, and maybe the direction our country went in influences maps.
Yeah.
So for instance, Susan just had an article in the New York Times just a short while ago on women's suffrage. And there was maps that came out at that time. This is, more than 100 years ago, showing the states that had passed women's suffrage and the ones that didn't. And interestingly, 100 years ago, most of the people on the East Coast felt that the West was an uncivilized place.
Yep, absolutely.
But where did you see women's suffrage? First in Wyoming, second here in Colorado. So this map shows the shaded states, and then it shows a Lady Liberty superimposed on the maps, walking from west to east. And so it was a powerful image about this march of women's suffrage, of really enhancing our democracy by enhancing suffrage in the United States.
Yeah, that's a fascinating thought to think. The West has always been a bit more innovative than East Coast, a little less cultural heritage feeling, but I had no idea that, as the root of our country at this point, women's suffrage moved from west to east. That's fascinating. Any other weird?
Yes. One of the other things she talks about is General Sherman. And General Sherman is famous for his march on Atlanta. That's quite controversial. But one of the things he did before he embarked on the crossing of Georgia was he commissioned maps of Georgia. What he wanted to see, and this is very strategic use of maps, he wanted to see where population was, slave and free, because he wanted those slaves to join his army and enhance his numbers. He also wanted to see where the food was, because he wanted to feed his troops and starve the enemy. So again, maps were used in a very strategic way to enhance a military operation in a way that not a lot of evidence had been used before.
Yeah, fascinating how they collected all that data to then draw up a map based on population. So this particular talk is happening this Thursday.
Yes.
In Edwards.
Yeah, at the Edwards Interfaith Chapel. Great location, free parking, so it's easy to get in and get out.
Yeah, excellent. And then throughout the course of the winter, it's really weekly, bi-weekly.
Just about every week, sometimes twice a week. January, I think we have 6 or 7 programs, so we've loaded a lot of them in the early part of the winter, but we'll be going through April, so through the end of the ski season.
Yeah, excellent, Claire. Thank you so much for always bringing intriguing topics. Looking forward to finding out more about how history has shaped cartography.
Well, looking forward to see everybody there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got just a bit more Good Morning Vail coming up after this.